Welcome to Live Your Best Midlife. I'm your host, Jill Lewis. Join me for inspiring pep talks and expert interviews as we explore staying active, feeling great, and embracing midlife adventures. Whether you're an empty nester, a pickleball enthusiast, or just ready to rediscover your vibrant self, this podcast is for you. Let's make our mid-years our best years. Now, on to the show. Welcome back to the podcast. This is your host, Jill Lewis. I am so happy that you are here for this exciting episode. For me, especially, this is the relaunch, the rebranding of my podcast that was formerly known as Pep Talk and Pickleball and is now the new Live Your Best Midlife podcast. If you are new around here, I am Jill Lewis. I am married. I have 3 grown children, and I am an empty nester at the age of 50. Yes, I had my kids early, all in my 20s, and I live in Illinois 8 months out of the year. I'm in Southwest Florida for about 4 months of the year. My husband and I love to travel. We love being working snowbirds, and we love to travel. We love to be outside, and we are really enjoying this stage of life. This midlife stage so far has been pretty darn good. I've been in the fitness industry for years, and it became my full-time job in 2019 as a certified faster way to fat loss coach. So I work with so many midlife women. I was adding all these numbers up recently. I'm about to 1,000 clients that I have helped go through the faster way to fat loss. And this is a program that helps women to lose fat, to feel their best, to get stronger, to gain muscle, to live their life with confidence, with the energy that they were meant to have, all the good things that are going to help when they go to their doctor's appointments, have amazing checkups where their doctors are like, wow, everything looks great. That's my goal for all of my clients. And it's truly my passion in life. In 2023, actually, at the very end of 2022, I really had a desire to find a format where I could talk like this, just have conversations more long, like a longer format when it comes to social media. So for me, getting on Instagram, which is where probably most of you have found me, when I get on Instagram, you have to be really quick. And it's that short form social media clips. That's really hard for me to effectively tell you exactly what I'm feeling, how I'm feeling, why, all those things. And I really like this longer format where I can chat with you. So podcasting became something I was really interested in doing. So the last quarter of 2022, I learned how to get into podcasting, and I launched my Pep Talk and Pickleball podcast in January of 2023. I've had 70 episodes. I cannot believe that. 70 episodes. And I just felt over 2024 that the name was a bit misleading. So in Pep Talk and Pickleball, when it started, I really did talk a lot about pickleball. I would start the first half of the podcast with a pep talk, and it was either an interview with someone, it was just me talking about health and wellness and helping women to feel their best in midlife. Did a lot of talk about empty nesting, but the last part of the podcast was always about pickleball and talking about my love of the game, just such a fun sport and hobby. And as the podcast went on, I found myself talking about pickleball a little bit less and a little bit less till it became episodes where I didn't even mention pickleball. So I felt like the title has been a little misleading. So for someone that is really just wanting a pickleball podcast, I felt like I was, like I said, just misleading. I was not trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes. And yes, pickleball is such a growing sport. I think it's the fastest growing sport in the US. And I just didn't want this to be like clickbait for somebody that was trying to find a pickleball podcast. So I felt like it really needed to be more all encompassing. So Live Your Best Midlife is really what it sounds like. And we're living our best life, but we are in this phase of life where it's between your 40s and your, I'm going to say 60s and 70s, where you are, call it like the sandwich generation. You've got your kids that are getting older, but you also have parents that are getting older. And it's just an interesting time, but it's also a time of self-reflection because for me, turning 50, you're thinking, okay, I've lived 50 years. My goal is to live 50 more years. And so I'm just at the halfway mark. And what do I want of all the lessons that I've learned over those 50 years? How can I apply those lessons into the next 50 years and make them really good? I really want them to be good years. I don't want to just grow old. I want to grow. Obviously, I'm growing old, but I want it to be vivacious and I want to have energy and I want to be able to be independent and I want to have fun. So that's what this podcast is going to be about. And it's what it's been about. But again, the title just wasn't quite hitting the mark. So Pep Talk is still very important to me. That is a family nickname of mine. My dad gave me that nickname when I was tiny, and my whole family's called me Pep. They still do. I still have childhood friends that call me Pep. And I've declared to all my children that when the time comes, when they have kids, that will be my name for my grandkids will call me Pep. And so it's a special name, but what I've decided is I'm still going to have pep talks. So I'm still going to do some formats where it's a very short podcast and I'm just giving you a pep talk on a specific topic. Could be strength training. I've done them on energy and how to have more energy, talk about whole food nutrition. So it could be very specific topics, or I'm going to give you a pep talk. And of course, pickleball will be woven into the conversation as much as I possibly can because I'm obsessed with the sport. It's a big part of my life. I absolutely love it. And I just find that my mind goes to pickleball all the time. So you'll definitely be hearing about pickleball as well. When I started the podcast, I was a brand new empty nester. My husband and I had just moved to Florida for the winter, been working snowbirds, and I still want to talk about all those things. But yeah, this rebrand and new title, can't tell, I'm pretty excited about it. So again, I've talked about how felt like it was a little misleading with the title. And today I just want to talk about what does living your best midlife really mean? To me, it means embracing this phase of life as an opportunity for growth. It's a lot about self-discovery and finding fulfillment, right? Living your best midlife is involves finding a deeper sense of purpose. So, just beyond the traditional markers of success, I think it's about reflecting on your values and aligning your life with what truly matters to you. And I also think it's about pursuing your passions and your interests that maybe you put on hold earlier in your life because you were focused on raising a family, maybe, or a job. It's also focusing on personal growth and self improvement, which, as a certified health coach, I'm all about that. So, I think for me, midlife is a time to challenge myself to step out of my comfort zone. And I hope for you that you feel the same. Stepping out of your comfort zone is never easy. I think about the things I've done in the last couple of years, a lot of stepping out of my comfort zone. And the podcast was one of them. Doing a podcast where I'm just sharing all my thoughts for 45 minutes or that's tough. Reaching out to people to have them be guests on the podcast, asking people to be on the podcast, growing the podcast, that has pushed me out of my comfort zone. When I first became at the age of 45, when I started becoming a certified faster weight coach, I really had to do a lot of marketing on social media. That pushed me way outside of my comfort zone. And now it's become a lot more normal to me, but I'm still trying to find ways to push myself and get out of my comfort zone by sharing all kinds of things on social media. And that's just very different. It's certainly an interesting job to have, doing social media marketing and not starting that until I was in midlife. But yeah, I also think going along with that, midlife is a time to explore new career paths or entrepreneurial ventures, which is exactly what I did. And it was the best decision I ever made. I felt like I never knew who I wanted to be when I grew up until I was about 45 years old. And I don't even know if I realized it then, but now at the age of 50, I know exactly who I'm supposed to be. And I'm so happy with what I'm doing. And I just find that interesting. And I look at my husband. My husband started his career that he's on now, his career path at the age of 45. My dad also started his career where he ended up retiring from at the age of 45. There's so many people that we don't even realize that can start over
And what a blessing that is to pursue something that you're super passionate about and really enjoy your job, I think is nice. And sometimes in midlife, that's when you have the luxury to try it. So, also, I think midlife is a time to learn new skills or hobbies that really do bring joy and satisfaction to your life. And certainly, pickleball has been that for me. And I know it might sound funny to you, but it really has. It's brought a whole new community of people into my life that they mean a lot to me, and I love it. And the new skills that I have learned from through my job, through podcasting, through the social media stuff, all the technology things that I've had to learn in my 40s and now into my 50s. I think that's really cool. I also think that midlife is a time to really take care of yourself. Taking care of yourself is going to become increasingly important. So if you're somebody that's not in midlife yet, maybe you're still in your 30s, you're still a baby. You're a baby having babies. That's the way I look at it. But taking care of yourself, you are very low on the priority list. That's pretty natural. I would tell most moms, keep yourself on the front burner. Don't forget about yourself. Don't lose yourself in the job of motherhood and being a wife and trying to juggle a career and all those things. It's so easy to push what you want and taking care of yourself. Those just they get set on the back burner. But in midlife, you do have the time, most of us do, and you realize the importance. There's nothing like turning 50 and having all these checkups and doctor appointments. You're got to get that colonoscopy, right? But there's a lot of things that you realize, oh my gosh, I've got to start adopting some healthier habits for your physical and your mental well-being. Things do start to catch up to you. I've quoted on here before, I'm sure I have, that Dr. Stephen Cabral's book, The Rain Barrel Effect. I loved that book. I read it 5 or 6 years ago. And the way that he puts it into perspective on why things happen, why we get, he calls disease like a dis-ease of the body. And why do we get disease? It's because our rain barrel gets full and that inflammation starts to spill over, and that causes these chronic illnesses. So the things that we've been doing, the lack of sleep, the stress in our lives, could be alcohol, it could be all of the fast food, it could be just a number of different things, lack of exercise, all the things that get into this rain barrel. And eventually that rain barrel is going to overflow. And then boom, you've got this major inflammation that's going to rear its ugly head some way. And most of the time, it's with some kind of chronic disease. That could be maybe you're hearing that you're pre diabetic now. Maybe you've got high cholesterol. Maybe you've got high blood pressure. There's a lot of things that are going to start happening. You've got lots of joint pain. There's just maybe your hair is thinning. There's a lot of things that can start happening. And I think a lot of that is just your rain barrel is full. And it really is a time to get a handle on your health and be proactive and do something about it. And practicing self care and stress management techniques, super important. And then investing in preventative health care, obviously, getting regular checkups become so, so important in midlife. Also, I think living your best midlife is going to include nurturing your relationships. Now, that could be deepening the connections that you have with your family and friends, could be cultivating new friendships and social networks, and just focusing on quality relationships that really bring positivity to your life. You want to be attracting people into your life that are keeping your life stress free, that they really bring sunshine into your day, right? That's what I'm looking for. And I have to say that going down to Florida, and I'll never forget walking to, or going to the pickleball courts for the first time and just sitting there like waiting for some people to come off the court so I could introduce myself and just say, "Hey, can I play with you guys?" and get to know people. That's putting yourself out there, but it's making connections. And what I've been doing in the past couple of years is saying yes to things that I probably in the past would have been a little more closed off to. Getting to know people. For me, I can close myself off to people and go, "Oh, you know what? My friendship tree is full and I'm good." But what I've realized in the last couple of years is no, I bring them on. Like I want to meet all the people. I want to get to know people are super interesting, and I want to get to know people from all over the country even the world for that matter. I just think it's fun. And cultivating these new friendships and social networks is, I have found myself really enjoying that, where maybe Jill 10, 15 years ago would have thought, no way. And I really do. So that's been really fun. I think that in midlife, this is a phase that offers you a chance to really create a lasting legacy. So through this podcast and just thinking into yourself, let's consider how we want to be remembered. And when you start thinking about that and living your life that way, things are just naturally going to improve. How you react to things are naturally going to improve. But yeah, consider how you want to be remembered and start engaging in activities that contribute to your community or the causes that you care about. That is having major impact. Mentor, you want to be mentoring others and sharing your wisdom and experiences. I love doing that through my job, but also just in talking to people.
Midlife friends, are you ready to transform your body and life in 2025? Join me for my New Year round of the Faster Way to Fat Loss, which is starting soon. This isn't just another diet, it's a scientifically proven program that combines strategic nutrition, effective workouts, and personalized coaching to help you burn fat and build lean muscle. With our signature approach, you'll learn how to fuel your body properly, optimize your workouts, and create lasting healthy habits. No more yo-yo dieting or frustrating plateaus. As your certified coach, I will guide you through every step of the way. Together, we will unlock your body's fat-burning potential and help you achieve the results you have always wanted. Don't wait, spots are limited. Sign up now and make this your year of transformation with me and the Faster Way. Check out today's show notes for all the details.
I think living your best midlife is also all about embracing self-acceptance. Celebrate your achievements and learn from your past experiences. You can do both, right? We've all made mistakes. I've certainly, I can't even count them all. Some have been small, some have been big. But I've learned from them. And I think that's what's really important. And it's not about being ashamed of your past mistakes. It's about learning from them and also looking at the achievements that you've had in your first however many decades of life. And as women, especially, it is so easy for us to focus on what we did wrong, focus on what didn't go right that day, instead of thinking about, actually, I did this, I did that. That was pretty good. It could be as something as small, like I always ask my clients, what were your weekly wins? And it takes them a while to get into the habit of doing it, but it's just a way to shape how you think and change your brain waves. Start thinking about the good little things that you did through the week. Maybe you reached your protein goal every day. Maybe you drank 80 ounces of water every day that week. Maybe you got to bed at a decent time every week. Maybe you got at least 7 hours of sleep every night. Those are all like major wins when it comes to like your health and your wellness. Maybe you helped somebody. Maybe you went out of your way for someone. Those are all like amazing things. So those are little things that you can do through the week that you can think about, but also look back on your life and understand that you did some major things, really good things. I remember when I was part of my life, or a big part of my life, was being a stay-at-home mom. And instead of feeling really good about that in the moment, I always thought that I wasn't doing enough to contribute for our family, which is so insane. Is that not insane? I think that's societal pressure there. But I was really blessed to be a stay-at-home mom. I was so blessed that I didn't have to work. But instead of embracing that, which I mean, I guess a part of me did a little bit, but most of the time I just felt guilty about it and felt like I should have been doing more. That's insane. Instead, I raised three, or my husband and I raised three amazing kids. And I think a big part of why they are so successful is because of the job that we did. And me staying at home with them was a big part of that. And they're three incredible humans that are contributing to the world in a really positive way. And I look back and go, that was me. That was an amazing achievement that I helped them do. So I do think that in midlife, it's important, learn from the past, but celebrate the achievements. And then also accepting yourself fully, including your strengths and your limitations. We all have weaknesses. I'm going to call them limitations. We all have things that, of course, we want to improve upon. but we also have strengths. So accept that we have both because we're human, right? We are human. Another thing I talk about with my clients all the time is progress over perfection. The very first training I do with them is, hey, let's get this perfectionism off the plate right now. No one has to be perfect. You do not have to be perfect to be successful when it comes to your health and wellness. And if it's weight loss specifically that you're looking for, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect every day or you're a failure. And so as soon as you take the perfection out of the game, you're like, oh, you just automatically feel better. So I talk about that constantly. It's okay to have limitations, but that's the thing. We're humans and we're just going to keep trying to be a little bit better every day. Also, letting go of societal expectations and really just living an authentic life. So, I think in midlife, you really start to be more authentic. Have you noticed that about yourself? There's something about turning 50 where I don't tolerate things that maybe I used to tolerate. I call, a spade now where I may in the past have just kept my mouth shut. And I'm going to say yes to a lot of things, but after I've said yes to something, if it's not working for me, then I'm going to backpedal and go, no, that ain't for me. Basically, I'm not going to say back in the day when I say I'm saying yes to everything, I just mean I'm wanting to put myself out there and experience things that maybe I wouldn't have given myself the opportunity to. And I'm trying to meet new people and experience new things. But if it is, I remember you just, man, when your kids are young and you're just taking on the world, like you're trying to be a great mom, you have a career, you are married and you're trying to feed your family and you're trying to help your husband and you're doing all these things. And then you've got all the fundraisers. And then you've got all of these clubs. And then you have your church life. And then you have all these people are wanting you to help them with things. And at some point in time, it gets tough, right? It gets tough. And I remember saying yes to some things in the past that didn't align with me. And I remember getting to the age where you finally were like, you know what? That's a no. That ain't me. Or it could be just like your circle of friends. You're like, this doesn't feel like an authentic friendship anymore. And so letting that go. So I think those are all things in midlife that you recognize, and it's a good thing, right? Also, midlife is a time, if you haven't already, to reassess your financial goals and your retirement plans. I certainly hope that if you're a listener of mine, that you are already well on your way into knowing that. But if you're not, it's not too late. But man, get started on it now. Start having conversations. If you're married, have conversations with your spouse about this. I think one of the most fun things and conversations that Randy and I have together. So if we're on a date, just the two of us, we will have conversations about because we love to travel. So it might be, where are you wanting to go in the next 5 years? Where are you seeing, what are the bucket list places that we haven't been yet? And we compare notes and talk about it and make like a loose plan. It's not set in stone, but we're like, okay, let's try to knock these places off the list because we want to experience this type of travel together. But we also, I remember in the past, talked about, okay, where do we see ourselves when our daughter goes to college and the kids aren't home anymore? What are we wanting to do? Are we wanting to go to Florida? Is that where we see ourselves? Are we wanting to rent? Are we wanting to buy? We had these conversations leading up to buying our place in Florida. And I think that's really important. Now, we are also, so we're very, because he's a financial advisor, we are planners, but we also keep it loose. And sometimes we do things on a whim as well. And that's fun. But because we've made really good financial decisions through the years because of him, I'm going to give him 100% of the credit for that. We've been able to do that. So I definitely think it's a conversations about money. If you grew up with that being awkward, it might feel awkward, but you just have to do it. My dad was a financial advisor. So for me to talk about money is not awkward at all in my family and how important planning is. So yeah, making informed decisions about savings and investments, and then just prepare for financial or your future financial needs while enjoying the present moment. So important. So staying engaged and curious about life, I think is really crucial, which is something that I definitely discuss on the podcast. And I always use my mom as an example because I think she's just an incredible person. My mother's 87 and she is so much younger than her peers, not just physically, but just mentally, because she has stayed engaged and curious about life. And she has always had a pursued learning new things. And that was a great role model for me because I feel like I'm that way too. And learning new things and staying up to date on technology is so important. I love that in the last 5 years, I have grown exponentially when it comes to things about tech that I never would have done. And I think it's kept me, I know more about social media than my kids do. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I really do know more tech stuff for sure when it comes to like all this podcast stuff. Learning how to edit a podcast was now I've hired an editor, thankfully. For the first year, I did that all myself, and I was so proud of that. And I just think it keeps you young, it keeps you in the know. And I love listening to podcasts, is something that was really fun for me because it was just a way to go out on a walk or be in a car and driving and learning new things. So stay curious about life and just pursuing lifelong learning opportunities. So important. Staying open to new ideas and perspectives, listening. That expression, we have two ears and one mouth for a reason. But yeah, be open and kind to other people that have new ideas and perspectives. Embracing technology and staying connected with the changing world. Oh my gosh. I'm telling you, there is no faster way to get old than just burying your head in the sand when it comes to embracing technology and this changing world. I have, in the last, I would say, year and a half, I've embraced AI and I can use it in my business. I use it for the podcast for so many different things. And I use it in my personal life. I have an app on my phone that I use it as my Google. I use Chat GPT or Perplexity. And Chat GPT is just a free app on your phone. You can use it on your desktop. So easy. Like the other day, I was on the driving range. I was down in Florida. I was on the driving range and I was hitting my driver terrible. I was popping it up. I have no idea why. And Randy wasn't there he's my golf guru. And I'm thinking, what in the world am I doing here? And I thought, okay, I'm going to get on Chat GPT. And I just asked it. I'm hitting balls at the driving range. My driver, I keep popping it up. What would be causing that? Instantly gives me like five things to start trying. It's amazing. Did I ever tell you the time? Sorry if I did, but for those new listeners, did I ever tell you about when I used AI to help write a Father's Day poem to Randy? Buying greeting cards is so annoying to me because I just cannot bear to spend over $5 on a greeting card. I find it ridiculous and they're really not even that good. I don't even think they're that funny. They're corny. And I'm like, this is such a waste of money. I'd rather put that money towards the gift. But I also wanted him to know that he's really special and he's a great dad and we love him so much. And I wanted to write him something. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to write him a poem. And I started to write it and I can't write a poem, you guys. I'm terrible at that. And it looked like a second grader was writing roses are red, violets are blue kind of thing. It was just not good. So I thought, I'm going to ask my friend Chat GPT to help me with this. So I said, could you help me write my husband, the father of our three children, a Father's Day poem? And instantly, it was all just out there. And I'm like, wow, that was good. And then I put in there, can you help me personalize this? And I wrote a few details about him and then it revamped it. Oh my gosh, even better. And then I said, oh, I forgot. He does this for a living. He coached the kids in this and this. He taught them to do blah, blah, blah. It finagled it again, even better. And then I was like, actually, okay, this one line, that's cheesy. I would never say that. Could you swap out this one line for something else? It took me 5 minutes. It was the greatest poem ever. I printed it out and folded it up, put it in an envelope with his gift, and it drew a little tear in his eye. Now, truth be told, he knew immediately that was not something that I wrote by myself. But he loved it. He really did. He thought it was me being very, I don't know what the right word is. Words are hard sometimes, guys. Guys, you'll notice that with me in the podcast, but my vocabulary, something else I'm working on in midlife is growing my vocabulary. But yeah, he thought that was cool that I used technology to help me do better, but it was an amazing little way to use it. So it's just an example. Embrace technology. It's not all bad. So, living your best midlife is about recognizing that this phase really does offer unique opportunities for growth. It offers opportunities for fulfillment and so much joy. It is a time to redefine what success means to you and prioritize what truly matters and create a life that reflects your values and aspirations. So that's what I want this podcast to be about. You can continue to expect health and wellness topics that are tailored for midlife women. Of course, I'm going to be talking about empty nesting, the challenges and the opportunities that empty nesting presents, and then strategies for making the second act of life the best yet. These formats are going to be very similar. I'm going to have solo episodes like this, diving deep into specific topics. I'll have interviews with industry experts and, of course, conversations with interesting women sharing midlife experiences. So I'm so pumped that you are here. I think that midlife challenges and opportunities are so interesting. I can talk about them forever. It really, midlife is representing just a critical juncture, I think, where individuals can reassess their lives and contemplate the future and what direction that it's going. All right. So pumped that you're here. And I cannot wait to share more podcast episodes with you. I've had 70, like I said, so far, and we're just going to keep on going. And I'm going to try to get these out weekly for you. And I appreciate you being a listener. Hey, listen, if you could, I would love to make sure that you are a subscriber to the podcast. You do that by clicking on the follow button. And you can do that in your podcast app or wherever you listen to podcasts. And make sure that you do that so that you don't miss an episode. So that way it will alert you when a new episode drops. And then I would also really appreciate it if you would share this podcast with some of your friends, your family, whatever your circle, your coworkers, anyone that you think would benefit from living their best midlife. And then finally, if you could leave a review, that would help so much. That really does help the podcast algorithm get me out to more people where more people can discover Live Your Best Midlife. And gosh, those are the things. Yes. So if you could subscribe, share, and leave a review, oh, chef's kiss. That would be amazing. Thank you so much. So you can always find me on social media and at Jill Lewis Living on TikTok. And you can also find me where I am most of the time hanging out. If you want all kind of the behind the scenes tips and tricks, that's going to be at Jill B. Lewis. All right. You take care. You have a great week. And I hope that you are ready for more episodes of Live Your Best Midlife. And I'm your host, Jill Lewis.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Live Your Best Midlife. If you enjoyed today's episode, please hit that follow button. And if you want to help more people discover my podcast, I'd be so grateful if you could take a moment to leave a rating and a review. Your feedback not only brightens my day, but it helps others to find my show. And if you're craving some more behind the scenes action, follow me on TikTok at Jill Lewis Living or on Instagram at Jill B. Lewis.